Sarah was introduced to me as a young woman that was battling breast cancer.
Sarah told us that the cancer had progressed to a terminal state.
Sarah reached out to me on social media and told me that her treatment was no longer working. I was incredibly touched.
Sarah told us she did have a husband, James, as well as a 15-month-old daughter named Mindy.
Sarah told me that her initial goal was to do what's called a century ride, 3-day ride, and 1 day is a 100-mile ride. I cycle regularly, and I offered to help her.
Sarah came and stayed with us. We definitely entertained her. We went out on the boat to see the flying fish.
We spent most of the daytime riding bikes. Nights we would sit in our backyard and Brian would make dinner for us and Sarah and I would have some really deep talks. I have never seen Sarah without either a cancer scarf on her head or a wig. At one point she told me that she had a blood transfusion.
Another time, Sarah told my wife that she was actually being stalked and being threatened by this girl
who had extreme affection for her husband, James. Sarah messaged me that the harassing posts had escalated into very detailed threats. The woman told her that she knew how to make Sarah's death look like an accident and hide a body. Sarah must have messaged me 100 times. The stalker had followed her to the gym, to the supermarket, was driving in front of her home.
Supposedly there were police involved and they were trying to capture this person.
I told Sarah, you hang up the phone right now and you call the police.
As Sarah's stalker story progressed, so did their suspicions.
I received a text message from Sarah that said, this stalker has a gun. She's chasing me. I said, just run, run, hide. I was completely freaking out. She told me that she was hiding in the shirt aisle, and that was the last contact I had until she relayed to us that the shooter was in custody.
I had doubts that the shooting took place because we couldn't find any news record of it.
I believed that my friend who was dying of terminal cancer was in a shootout. I was absolutely traumatized.
We've got a friend that's in law enforcement and he was able to confirm that this never happened. After the shooting, I came across a record where Sarah had lost her nursing license in the state of Virginia because she was faking pregnancies. When I read that, every hair on my body stood up. You can fake a pregnancy and you can definitely fake a husband and fake having cancer. It also dawned on me that I'd never spoken to James. I said, Sarah, you need to call me. The first thing I said to Sarah, I said, James isn't true. He doesn't exist.
And she said no.
And I said, Bindi doesn't exist, does she?
And she said no.
And I said, the shooting certainly never happened. And of course she said no. Then I asked her, is the cancer real?
He said, do you have breast cancer? And she said, I do.
Eventually led me to contact her family and they confirmed that she does not have cancer.
I couldn't believe it. Shock, horror, embarrassment, and betrayal. Why would you want to bring harm to someone who was so kind and so supportive of you? Like, why would you do this to me?
It's one thing for Sarah to have taken advantage of my wife and her kindness. It's just horrible that she's reached out to girls that truly are sick, and it's just gut-wrenching to me.
There are more people that do this kind of thing than you can imagine. It's really sad, but it's true, and they victimize people that are willing to help, people that open their minds, open their hearts, open their homes, open their wallets. And that's what happened to you, right?
100%, yeah. I feel completely violated. I feel preyed upon. I feel stalked by her. I mean, I'm humiliated.
What pulled it at y'all's heart when you first got sucked in by this?
I felt I had an opportunity to change someone's life for the better.
And you say that she sent you photos of a brain scan.
She did, yes.
Right? And it showed 13 lesions.
13 lesions on her brain.
Right, which, I mean, that's severe. 13 lesions is pretty good coverage.
I think she also knew that we had kind of limited knowledge and experience of the disease, so I just accepted it as the truth.
Right.
She's very intelligent. She really did her research. And one thing that she did that I found particularly distressing was she would adopt the stories of other survivors in the organization. So there was a young woman that we knew that had a similar experience. She did have cancer that had gone to her brain, and she had similar lesions. So Sarah adopted her story as her own.
I absolutely feel stalked and violated by Sarah. I look outside the window probably 100 times a day.
It's been an invasion of our privacy, of our personal lives, and a huge lack of trust.
It's incredibly upsetting even to me that I find myself now second-guessing everybody that I know.
you say she made Facebook posts and then she shared photos about her treatment, right?
She did.
So she had photo evidence here. This wasn't just a story.
Right.
And, you know, we look at them here, and she's got a head wrap here, blanket, and she's all done, going home, feeling drained at Cancer Center. Okay, now let's think about this for a minute. She dates this January 22nd, so I want you to think about this. What do you think now when you realize to create this post, she had to go get dressed up like this, put this head wrap on, get a blanket, get everything set up, and either somebody take that picture or set up a timer on a camera and create this illusion of being at a chemo infusion center and post that up. She had to, this wasn't like, oh, just something slipped out when I was talking to somebody. She had to actually create this image for you.
This is all premeditated, all of it.
It's maniacal. I mean, sincerely, who has time for this was my first question. It's just sick. It's just sick.
Well, sadly, Brian and Liz aren't the only two people who say they have felt violated by Sarah's tall tales and lies. Bethany says she also became friends with Sarah, but this time she was in a wheelchair. They met at a camp for people with disabilities 3.5 years ago. Take a look.
I met Sarah at a camp for adults with disabilities. I was a camp counselor, which also was a dual role as the caregiver. Sarah told me that she had muscular dystrophy. She was in a power wheelchair. The camp is really focused on accepting any disability to be able to come and experience an outdoor lifestyle. There was horseback riding and archery, zip lining. As her caregiver, it was really rewarding to allow her to have those experiences and to see the smiles on her face. We would take care of all of her needs. If somebody needs to go to the bathroom, we're going to the bathroom. If they want to shower, we're going to go shower. I was the one to change her feminine products multiple times a day. Sarah and I did develop a friendship. I felt like we were very close. When she got home, Sarah and I would have conversations at least once or twice a week for about 6 months. Sarah signed up for the spring session to go back to camp. She had been telling her family that she was going down to that camp to volunteer. Her family was suspicious because she had done this several other times before and they tried to catch her in those lies. A local pastor found out, contacted the camp to see if she was actually there as a volunteer or if she was there to be a camper. Her family showed up, the pastor showed up to confront her. The camp director helped facilitate that interaction. She got up out of the wheelchair and didn't say anything. When I heard the news that Sarah was faking her disability, there were just tons of anger and almost rage that I'd never experienced before. I absolutely felt betrayed. When I found out a couple weeks ago through Brian and Liz that Sarah was saying that she had terminal cancer, I just kind of laughed. It wasn't a shock to me that she's still doing this. This will be the first time that I'm going to see her walk, and this isn't about me, this is about her. I don't think she really realizes how much she's hurting people.
Well, Bethany, thank you for being here, number one, and thank you for what you do in that camp and helping people, number two. That is really a gracious thing for you to do.
Thank you.
When you say she doesn't understand how this hurts people, how does it hurt people? How did it hurt you?
Well, first, it violated my trust completely. I mean, if somebody comes into a camp like that and says that I have muscular dystrophy or a different disease, I'm not going to question that. And now it kind of makes me want to question people that shouldn't have to be questioned. So that was the first violation. And then second, just violating my ability as a caregiver. You know, I was giving 200% of my attention to her. Everything that she wanted me to do was so much more physically involved than any of the other clients that I had dealt with. The things that I had to do for her that week, even down to changing her feminine products, you know, that's something that I can't even fathom being in a situation like that, to ask someone to do that.
Do you think she was laughing at you the whole time?
You know, that's never really crossed my mind. I just felt like she was so sick and into her lie that she believed the lie herself.
This is a woman that the day before camp is walking around.
Yeah.
And goes and gets a wheelchair and gets in it and rolls in there and pretends all of this the entire time, consciously makes this decision.
Yeah.
And she asked you for your ultrasound pictures.
She did. I was pregnant during that friendship, and she kept asking me to see the ultrasound pictures, which at the time I didn't think was weird, but hindsight, doing more research on her and finding out she had stolen other women's ultrasound pictures just is another violation of my trust.
How did you finally find out the truth? Was it when the pastor showed up?
I wasn't there when that happened. That was the following season. The camp director had called me knowing that her and I were really close and really good friends, and just watched her get up out of the wheelchair and walk to the van.
So it's been 4 years and you've never seen her walk?
No.
What do you know about yourself that is not apparent, that makes you know that you need to steal attention, steal affection, steal effort? What is it that you know about yourself that makes you aware that you could never get that by being you?
I'm just a really lonely person, and I just have a hard time making friends, and people have never liked me for who I am in the past.
What is it about you? I mean,
I
this
don't know.
is beyond just I'm lonely. You could go volunteer at this camp. You could have gone to the camp. You could have volunteered at the camp and become part of the peer group of counselors there. But instead, you stole the effort. You stole the compassion. You stole the love and care of these people instead of filling yourself up by giving what you needed the most. What is it about you that you know that makes you so disgusting that people won't have anything to do with you?
I don't know.
I don't believe that. You know something about you that you're hiding from these people, because you must know something about you that tells you, I've got to steal this because nobody would ever give it to me. Nobody would ever be my friend. I've got to lie to get a friend. What is it you know about yourself?
I'm just not a very good friend. I've never had an easy time making friends in the past, and
Sarah, we very quickly became friends. I mean, overnight. Looking back on this experience at camp, you showed up at camp with half of a suitcase packed with crafts and things that we could do, and gifts for us, and thanking us. I mean, those are things that genuine friends do. I don't even know if that version of you is real, because I don't know what's real with you, but I felt like that was how a genuine friend would act. There was a 50-50 relationship there. And so for you to just kind of throw your hands up and say, well, I'm just lonely and I have a hard time making friends, you don't, because they trusted you. They opened their home to you multiple times. I was sharing very personal details that I only share with my closest friends. So I don't feel like that's real.
I mean, I feel like the things that I did say to you guys was genuinely friendship material.
Well, let me ask about that. Do you consider yourself deviously manipulative?
Yes.
I mean, you knew she had a friend shot and killed, so you manufacture somebody hunting you down with a gun, and then your phone dies, so you leave her in suspense, knowing she's lost someone to gun violence, so you structure a parallel event. That's manipulatively devious, is it not? You did that on purpose.
Yes.
You wanted to hurt her.
I didn't want to hurt her, I just wanted the attention.
You either wanted to hurt her or you just didn't care if you did.
I would never want to hurt her.
And I also want to clarify one thing, that we are not friends. We will never be friends. I want you to understand that.
Do you have a story or a question for me? Click the link in the description and tell me what in the world is going on.